In chapter 8, we created a class called motor that describe in general, the motor has a power, and then we keep a constructor, and we have some simple methods to set the power and to get the power and to have a toString to present the motor. In chapter 9, we're talking about inheritance. So what that means is that we want to reuse the motor without copy and paste. We want to use them. We want to use every single method here, and we want to have the property of power. So let's say we want to create a new class called gas motor. And so for the gas motor here, if we use the keyword extends motor, so that means that the motor is the parent class and gas motor is a child class. So this is superclass, this is a subclass, and gas motor is a motor. So it has all the property, all the attributes, and all the methods of motor. Okay, because we need to access motor, and motor is under chapter 8, so we really need to import the method so they know we actually can access motor class. Okay, so the import here just allow us to access the motor class. And I have a dot star here is because I just maybe I can just do motor to be more specific, because it's not under chapter 9, it's under chapter 8. So we'll do an import so we can actually access to it. So let's just say we create a new class called gas motor because we want to differentiate if the motor is run by gas or if the motor is run by electricity. Okay. Now, for the gas motor, and when we use the extends, as I said, we create a new class. Now, this new class is actually the same as motor. Okay, so we didn't do any copy and paste. If we don't do anything inside, and then we actually create a new class. So how can we use this new class? We do have a drive on Java in chapter 8. So let's create a new one here. So for a drive2 class, and so let's just say right now we don't want to, let's just comment this one out. And so in the drive2 class, because we create a gas motor here, and so we can use the constructor. We can call in the constructor. We'll say gas motor left motor equals new and gas motor right motor equals new gas motor. So we are calling constructor. And then we can print the things out. When we do this one here, this one here again is calling toString method. Now, structure, this one is calling, and which toString method is calling. And if we go back to the gas motor, we don't have any method. So it's actually calling the motor class methods. Okay, so it's calling the constructor here, and it's calling the toString here. Okay, so we probably can put this one out and say this is a motor constructor and see if it's actually calling that one. So we know we are calling the motor constructor. Okay, so if we run this one here, And we can see that we are using motor constructor and we are using the motor toString. Okay. So in here, maybe we'll just say, okay, it says motor power. Okay. Now, the gas motor, obviously, so this just shows that inheritance means that everything. So gas motor is a motor. So everything about the motor, every code in the motor, we can just go ahead and use it. And then that doesn't make sense. We don't just want to copy, exactly the motor. So the gas motor has its own specialty. So one thing we probably need to add to have the attribute of gas motor is we'll talk about the gas mileage per gas per gallon, mileage per gallon, right? Well, we can add a new attributes. Okay, we can add a new attributes. So now the gas motor not only have the power as its attributes, not only have the power as its attributes, it has an attribute called mileage per gallon. Okay, and then we can create its own structure. So the motor here, right? Sorry. And in here, we can call super, okay, to set the power to 0, okay? And then initially, and maybe by default, we can set the mileage per gallon equals to 25.4, okay? And we can add a getter. So we'll say public setter and reset mileage per gallon. Okay, so we'll give a double mpg, and we can just set this mpg equal to mileage per gallon, right? So this is a setter, and we can do a getter which returns double, and we'll get mileage per gallon, and that simply return mileage per gallon. So mileage per gallon. Oh, semicolon, I made it into the wrong place. Okay. So now the gas motor has its own constructor now. And in addition to set power and get power, it's have its own method. So the subclass can change can add the method of its own, okay? And it can also change graphic string to string, okay? It can also change what the toString method of its parent, okay? So now we can return its own presentation of the toString. So maybe we can call super toString. So we're using the motor's toString to present the power, okay? And then in addition to the power, and we will say plus, okay, space mileage per gallon, okay? And then we can present the mileage per gallon information. Oh, so here I need to call the method. And so we can change. So this is like add its own methods. All right. And then for the toString, and we can change to fit its own beat. All right, like the toString. So now if we go back here and let's just say the toString, and we'll see that it's actually calling its own toString methods. So let's just see that. Do you see that? Okay, now we're not really calling the motor toString, it's actually calling the gas motor toString. So inside the constructor, it calls the motor constructor first, and then it does reset and then it does go back to set the mileage per gallon here, and this is a default, and we didn't really print anything here. If we want, we can add the print gas motor constructor. So again, the inheritance is allow us to create new class by extends an existing class. And the way we are using the existing class is just use whatever we need from the existing class, okay, because it's yours. So gas motor is a motor. So whatever is in the motor, it's also is part of gas motor, but we're not using, again, copy and paste, okay? By using extends, the computer knows that the code inside the motor is part of gas motor. Okay. Now we can do the same thing here. Say we can create another class, we can create, instead of gas motor, we can say electrical motor. Okay. So if we electrical motor. So again, in here, it's a new way we are creating a class, and we can extend motor. Now, when we extend motor, inside this package, they cannot find the motor, so we need to really import. Okay, we need to import from the chapter 8. Okay, so they know where we can find this class. Okay, and now the electrical motor is a motor, so we can have everything again that the motor has. So in the new attributes for electrical motor is maybe we'll just say integer, and they have a way of measuring its efficiency. It's the kilowatt hour then per 100 mile, I think. So quite a lot of words in it. Okay. So it's just represent its own, right? And then again, we can do public electrical motor, same thing, electrical motor for constructor. Okay, so in it, we can call the verb to initially set the power to 0. And then there's a default for per 100 mile. Let's just say the default to be 20. That's very good, probably. Maybe I should say, I don't know, 22 Um, and again, we can do its own setters and getters for this one. So public void set a WHP 100. So we'll just do 100M, okay? And we can just give any double value, okay? So we can use the same word. We can use this, or again, we don't have to use this, so I can just copy the word or attributes here, and then I'll say B. Okay, that's another way of doing it. So we set that value, and the next thing we do is we'll say public, and then we can, oh, it's not double, it's integer. Yeah, no wonder they complain. So it is an integer, okay? And then this is a return get, and I'm gonna just copy this one here. Then for the get, we don't give any input, and we just return this value. Okay, and obviously we somehow deleted the end of, and also we can change the toString, okay, to fit its own need. And so we'll return super whatever the motor to tell us. In addition, and we will have the kW hour per 100 mile, and then we'll give this value, okay? Here we should have a space. And we'll just copy that. Ooh. Paste here. So I'm gonna delete and then delete that one. So I should be okay. They are complaining, call to super must be first statement in constructor. We did. Oh, this is the wrong super dot toString. What I'm doing here. Okay. Because we are calling the toString and adding new things here. All right, so we create another new class called electrical motor, and then we can use that. So in here, and we can create front and right. So we can maybe create a new motor here. So instead of call left, and let's call this electrical motor, and instead of left motor, maybe we'll say front. Okay, and change all this to electrical motor. Okay. Okay, so we'll say front motor and back motor. Okay, and here we can print front motor, and we can print. So now if we run this again, and we can see that we actually print for the electrical motor here. Okay,